Hi folks, I'm doing this Saturday before the protests. I'm doing it straight onto my phone as I'm getting ready because I haven't time to do anything properly setting up. I'm just having a vegetarian, well actually it's vegan, dinner just before I go. I thought I'd talk about these last few days. So, very rude of me. Hang on, I'll just put this down. Now, the first thing is, I've been a bit out of it, and I missed a bit because my little dog, Miller, she's a Jack Russell. Well, she became very ill last few days, and I took her to the vets, and it turned out she had she got this really bad infection that female dogs have if they haven't been done. Basically, she was going to die. Fortunately, I just had enough cash because otherwise they said they'd have put her down, which was devastating. I mean, don't get me started about vets these days because, I think if you've got, I don't see why they can't let you pay a bit up. Well, they all let me pay the rest of it off, but they insisted on the first half, and literally I just had it by £1. Anyway, that's a different story. Thank goodness, anyway, because I honestly don't know if I could have gone on if I'd had to put down simply because I didn't have enough cash, but still. So she's recovering slowly, looking sorry for herself. But so for a few days that I've had next to no sleep because you've got to get up early to pick him up. Oh, I'm faffing about. I'm too drained to even be bothered. But so on, I thought I'd just talk about. It was Wednesday. I went late because I was going to go down for 6, and because of the vets things, picking her up and all sorts, I didn't get there till 7. So they'd moved to Leeds because they apparently started off at Leeds Uni, then walked into town, and then they walked back again. Now it was quiet. It wasn't that busy, possibly because it was 7. I mean, it wasn't that well organised. I don't know, but to be honest, I was half asleep, and I wasn't that interested today. I mean, that day. The speaker was much quieter than normal, so you couldn't hear many of them. I mean, to consider that there was only a few there, you couldn't really hear anyone speak. It was quite low. I don't know what was going on, but it basically turned me, I was falling asleep. I mean, I just wanted to get to bed. But what was interesting was we had this horrible woman, and you can see it on one of the videos. She comes up. There's these two nice lads from Bradford, these Asian lads. Or should you call them Muslim, whatever you wish to refer. But they're really nice. I call them the silent majority because I think a lot of Muslims are like that, really nice. It's just the beardy, weirdy nut jobs you ever get to hear on TV who I think make everyone sound like nutters. But, these two lads, because they're like two of my mates. I've got mates who are like that. There's 3 of them. The 3 brothers. 2 are like that, and then there's the third one's very religious. But the religious one is, again, in a nut job, is really nice. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He's really, sweet if you, but. And, he is, the ultimate. I mean, the other 2, I think they're Muslim, but I don't think they're as serious as he is. Anyway, that's going off subject. So these 2 lads, I think they recognise News Now Yorkshire, and they were having a good chat, and they're really nice, having they're friendly and everything. And again, to me, they're the silent majority because they're the ones, that to me, most Muslims are like that, really nice. And unfortunately, it's the nutters who spoil it for everyone. There's like a handful of nutters to me, but they sort of make, the media sort of uses them as the sort of representation, I think, which is, for me, wrong. But anyway, so these 2 lads are having a good laugh with us, really getting on with them. In fact, there was a Jewish bloke there. This is how relaxed everything is. There's a chap who's a lovely bloke as well who came down, and he was worried, and I said, in fairness, in Leeds, you won't get it's only when there's a big group and everyone's screaming and shouting, the tensions rises. I says, I doubt if anything will happen today. Doubt if even they'll get noticed. Yeah. So he stood there and he's chatting and we're all chatting and even, I think his name's Brendan. Someone said, you'll see him. He's on every protest. I think he's a convert to Islam. And he was chatting to the Muslim, to the Jewish guy, and so everything's getting on nice. But of course, this white socialist middle class woman has to, she has to feel important, doesn't she? Because she thinks because she's white and middle class and left wing, she feels superior to everyone else. She views everyone else as inferior to her. And she comes across and she starts telling these Muslim lads not to talk to us because, she's a fascist, isn't she, folks? Like a lot of these left-wing people, they're very close to, the German socialist of 1930s views. They follow them constantly, if you notice. So she comes up and says, "Whoa, she does that mirroring. She tells them that we're the fascists, even though she's clearly the fascist. Which is amusing. You'll see this with a lot of left-wing people. The reason they call people fascists and stuff, it's called mirroring. They're saying what they actually are onto others because they know deep down what they are. They know a lot of the left-wing people know they're very fascist in modern times. And I say this, and I've said it before, I regard myself as soft left, but I see myself as the left from the 70s where we believed in freedom of speech and everyone has freedom. It doesn't matter what your views. I won't block you. We engage in conversation. Blah blah blah. These modern left fascists believe in censorship, shutting everyone down. Doesn't work. It's what. Well, for those who don't understand, a lot of people are middle class go to left wing ideology, or they like to join this left wing thing because they're not very bright people. And you'll see that in the protests. You have these really thicko left-wing middle-class people who they'll walk around with the banners, whatever. It doesn't matter what the protest is about. But they don't even, most of the time, they don't even know what they've turned up for. And I have gone to a protest where no one knew what they'd turned up for. It was on one Sunday. Literally not one person did. They told me, this is what they told me. They got an email, said turn up Sunday at Leeds City Centre and we'll give you some banners. They had no idea what they were there for. But they for quite a few people, it's a way of trying to look clever. They think by associating with this sort of left-wing thing, it automatically gives them a sense of superiority and cleverness. And that's why they come across as completely stupid when anyone asks them a question, which is gets onto my second point, which is when you go to, actually all of them. Actually, no, we'll talk about the second part, which is when we move then to Leeds University. Now, again, we're getting on with everyone chatting. Most people there know us and welcome us and tell us whether they love the vids. They watch them all. Very welcoming. But unfortunately, again, we have some thickos who think they represent everyone else. We had a group who then, near the end, as we was going, and by the way, we were literally going at that point, these thickos, one of them isn't. I'll tell you the one who I don't think is a thicko, even though he's a communist, I believe, he labels himself. I don't want to say he is in case he isn't, but I think I've seen him on the communist stand. He's actually really nice, and he has chatted, I think I've chatted to him before, but I actually think he's one who has got a bit of, I don't agree that because, for me, communism and social never works because it just ends up in this paranoid mess. Most people don't want communism. That's why it doesn't work. So you have to force people to follow your ideology. It's why it always ends up with taking people away to be executed because you've got to force your views by force. And it always happens. We see it with, and you get a lot of paranoia. No one likes each other. So we see that in Labour, how it's very divided. No one likes each other. You see that in unions where if you actually speak to a lot of unions, they don't agree with other unions. They don't like each other. And also, they have to implement everything by force, by, if they go on strike, this is why I've never gone along with unions, because again, they use force as and bullying tactics to get everyone to comply, which is what communism, socialism ends up always doing. So what they do is, if you decide, if they go on strike and you as an individual say, no, I want to work, which is, why shouldn't you have that right to? You'll be called scab and have your house smashed up. That's, again, following the same tactics we see. Always happens, and that's why I wouldn't go along with it. Never do. It just ends up, and it ends up everyone's so paranoid, like because everyone hates each other in your group, that you end up bringing in secret police and executing your own. So a lot of people today who are waving the flag of communism or socialism actually would be put to death. They'd be the first ones, because the people in charge would have to get rid of them, because they're the ones who might criticise more than anyone else. So they'd be instantly put to death or put in prison or whatever. Anyway, I was going off subject. I can talk about, and also socialism, communism, it's all built on theft. You have to tax people a lot of money. And tax basically is a form of theft. You're taking money from somebody else because you want it. People then justify it. Oh, no, it's, it's for the social good, blah, blah, blah. But, you can argue that about, then that's like me going into your house and taking all your stuff. I can justify it. It doesn't mean it's right. We can always justify things. People justify murder. People justify rape. People justify all sorts of crimes. And always will. It doesn't mean it's correct, does it, folks? But, so... So we had, so to be fair, and you can see him on the video, he's a nice lad. He's eating his dinner out of a tub. And so I'm not criticising him, he's a nice lad. But then we have the others come up with a little roll out the flag, because they're a bit thick. Again, I don't know what by the way, one woman was whinging, oh, you can't film here. Well, it's a public place. They don't own the land. If you don't want to be filmed protesting, don't go. You're very thick and stupid if you're that dumb. But again, unfortunately, a lot of the youth today have been brought up with this sort of ideology that their rights matters, other people's don't. So they have all these rights, but they want to remove them from everyone else. They don't want people photographing them without permission, because they invent all these little rules in their heads. They're being brought up this way. Schools tell you to, basically wipe everyone's backside. They tell everyone that everyone has to respect you, but you don't have to respect others. Because if you notice, none of them respected us for filming. Not one. They didn't say, oh, blah, blah, blah. You've got the right to film. That's your right. No, they were saying, we want to remove your rights, but we want to maintain our rights. We'll defend our rights to protest, but we'll remove your rights to film. In fact, it goes further than that, folks, doesn't it? Because there's a lot of hatred towards the working class, you'll notice, with the left-wing socialists and, the left-wing middle class, should we say. Because you'll notice that other people are filming, including themselves. They're never stopped. It's only the ones they view as working class who are stopped, because they're very full of hate. One of the things you notice very much on over the months we've been filming, or I've been filming, should I say, is that you can see there's an attitude towards those who are working class, who shouldn't be allowed to film. And if you're middle class, you're accepted. You're accepted to film. No one ever stops the people who are middle class film. It's just they view, and the reason they do it is because they're so bigoted. They believe that all working class people are evil and right wing, and that's it. That's how they view them. Even though here I am, slightly left wing on the basis, and I'm a vegetarian, try to be vegan, into the environment, into animal rights, and I've been on animal rights protests, blah, blah, blah. I've even been on I went to Drax power station protest years ago too. I've done quite a few myself, so, these people are just bigoted, nasty people. That's why I don't support them. People have asked me why I'm not on, because they're left-wing, middle-class, horrible people. Oh, by the way, note to self. Well, not note to self, note to you guys. If you watch News Now Yorkshire's video, one of them, There's your typical trade union guy. I believe he represents trade unions. He's the typical one. Great big fat bloke who looks like, it looks like a condom filled with oil, goozing with this sort of flat. It's a strange look. Often they usually cosplay at being working class by wearing the flat cap. You'll notice that's another thing. They're fake. It's like, a lot of the left-wing people like to cosplay being working class even though they're not. They'll wear work, it's like Carbon, he pretends to be poor and those reported to be worth a few million. A lot of these union people will wear flat caps pretending that they're working class. They're not. They're posh as anything, half of them. And so what does he do? So on his video, and he exposes himself. He says to News Now Yorkshire, I believe, "You're not welcome in this country." That's what he says to him. That's hideous, isn't it? I've never said that to anyone, but he exposes what a bigoted, horrible man he is. Again, you see a lot of these you see a lot of these union people full of hate towards the working class. They hate others unless you kiss their ass or whatever. They're just nasty people in general. Ooh, pure evil. And, in fact, if you ever watch most of the videos I film of these protests, you look at these left-wing. By the way, what was interesting was the two Asian lads said they don't even support the communists. They were laughing at them. They says, we don't even agree with any of these people. So, there's a weird combination of what's going on. And by the way, one of the things that's obvious is that those who cover their faces aren't supporters. If you see people cover their faces, they're not really supporting the cause. Most of them don't even know what they're there for because they won't. If you ever see, I've never bothered asking because I know what the reply would be. But if you ever see other people's videos, in fact, there was one where they went to, I think it was Cambridge this week. Not one of them people had a clue what they were stood there for because they'd have engaged. They see this as a way of getting out of not knowing anything. That people go up to them. You saw them with Suella, I forget her name, sorry, the Conservative MP. She asked them questions and they just stand staring because they're thick. They're thick and stupid. And we all laugh at them. The thing is about people standing there looking thick and stupid is that they destroy the cause. And, if I was one of the real pro-Palestine supporters, if I was one of those guys who actually believed in it, because I'm neutral, I take no sides, I'd be fuming at those morons because they're letting them down. I'd be going, God, why are you even... I would actually ask them, can you not protest? Can you sod off because you're doing us more harm? You're coming across as incredibly stupid, arrogant and unpleasant. It's basically, we know what they do. A lot of these students, like at Oxford, Manchester, all sorts, it's a game. They're not there because most of them, some might be, but there's a lot who are there who just, they get, it's a day out. It's something to fill up their life because this is it. This will be probably the most exciting thing they ever do. And that's why they follow people around. They're playing at it. It's like they're playing at being five again. It's what they do. It's like that girl, she came up to me and started going, we don't want you to film because you need permission. She was acting like a 5-year-old, and I wasn't having that. I said to her, I don't really give a rat's ass, but I swore at her, I think. And the reality was she was stood next to one of her own chap who was also filming me. She didn't say it to him. She didn't say, oh, he should ask permission. This is why they're thick. They look stupid on camera. They look moronic because she didn't say it to him. And yet he was pushing his camera straight at my face. I wasn't doing it. I've never done that. I'm stood quite far back. They come up to me, and I'm still not holding the camera into the face. I think I've only ever had the camera close to someone's face when I was crossing the road, and because there was an ambulance coming, and I had to jump onto the side of the road. But I wasn't like intentionally pushing the camera into someone's face. It was just I had to jump out the way of the ambulance. Otherwise, they'd be knocked over or block the ambulance. But this guy was actually pushing the camera straight at my face, which I actually didn't notice until I played the footage back. This weak little man, and there's a lot of weakness to these, left-wing people. He looked unwell. His eyes looked quite, I don't know, they looked like maybe he hadn't slept. I don't know. But his intimidation tactics doesn't work. I'm all over the internet. I don't know what his aim is. It's easy to find pictures of me. I mean, I'll pose for you. What a foolish little twit. But, he's small and he's probably got a small ding-dong. But again, these people, again, oh yeah, and one of them started, because posh boy, incredibly posh. I pointed out the reason he was having a go, all these people, which they didn't like, was because we're working class. They viewed us as evil. They didn't come and chat to us. They're dishonest in the pretend, whatever. Oh, sorry, I've just dropped the phone. I'm doing this straight into a phone, by the way. They were dishonest in what they were saying because they didn't come up and engage. They just stood in front of us in this sort of silent protest, looking foolish, thinking that was going to do something, which it just made us more entertainment. I mean, I don't know if Posh Boy was in leather. And it was either fake leather or real leather. And I noticed he had like leather-looking jacket and leather-looking boots, which for a place that's supposed to be for vegans and stuff, I thought was rather insensitive. So, I'm vegetarian, so I wouldn't be wearing leather. So, on that regard, I'm far more left-wing than him, if you consider that to be left-wing. But Posh Boy were there. Tried to be. I first thought, because sometimes you see this sort of left wing thing. What they do is the blokes do it and pretend to be all nice and just to show off to a girl. And I thought he was showing off to the girl with the glasses on, but it didn't feel like there was a connection. I think she was showing off to him, by the way. I think she was hoping she'd get humped by him that night, because I saw the disappointment when he came over and started chatting to me. But again, you'll notice he asked me, because he says, he claims to be working class. And by the way, again, I haven't had any sleep, so I was he was asking me what makes somebody working class. Boom, I can answer. I might be wrong, but I'm prepared to answer that. Although you'll notice I said the socialist view. What I meant to say was the sociology view, but my head was, I'll be honest, if you listen to me last few days, I couldn't even remember my name. The sociology view from when I was at uni, which I think upset him that he found out I was at uni. But I mean, I couldn't get into Leeds Uni. I was bottom of the class and everything. You have to be straight A student for Leeds Uni or University of Leeds. We was always told you have to do different subjects, part of the degree, and one of them was sociology. And I remember, I've got I'm going to have to look for it because I'm sure I've got it written down as reference. But the sociologist teacher told us owning your home, going on fancy holidays abroad, owning a car, going to university made you automatically middle class. And the argument there being that Mrs. Thatcher, by selling the council houses, automatically turned everyone middle class and therefore more likely to vote Conservative, which probably worked. Now, Posh Boy, and my view was, I mean, again, my view is that, and this is just my view, this isn't what we've been told. No one's told me this. This is just my observation. I'd argue that most people these days, in fact, everyone is not, I'd argue everyone's middle class or there's a small underclass. Well, if you went back before the 70s, there was a middle class, and then you had a working class, but you had a lower working class and an upper working class. And what you had was, the difference was that people before the 70s, you'd probably, if you had a job, you'd be there for life in most cases. So if you became a train driver, chances are that would be it for life. Today, it's not a norm. It's not unusual. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. It's not unusual if you become a train driver to be next day a teacher, then a nurse. You wouldn't even bat an eyelid if people change jobs. That's the difference. People can set up businesses today with ease, and it's not looked down upon. Well, I'd say before the 70s it wasn't. And there's a lot of things, such as computers changed a lot of things, made it easier for people, and things like women used to be one of the things, if you see pre-70s, a lot of women used to be in what they call the typing room. That used to be probably, I doubt if you'd ever seen many men in there. I'd have said it were mainly females. And what happened was the introduction of computers meant that all these women could really use a computer. They were used to the keyboard and things, which all these managers suddenly found they couldn't. So that's why you had an introduction of a lot more women becoming managers and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things changed. Pre-70s and late, and after that, with Mrs. Thatcher coming in and blah, blah, blah. So many things changed. But that's what I was arguing or debating. But of course, because I can actually sit and chat, they didn't like it, and they always have this, oh, we've got to go excuse. You notice that? It wasn't prepared. They were trying to mock me because I was incorrectly stating stuff, but I think some of it was they were trying to incorrectly make out I was saying things when I wasn't, just to try and mock me, thinking that's their way. Because not one of them were prepared to debate. I mean, again, they decided to leave, if you notice, because I was happily enough to debate. That's what they got upset about, because I went, okay, I'll chat to you. That's what they didn't expect. They thought they got me there. They thought, oh, it's Mr. Working Class Thicko who can't think. Sorry, folks. I might be wrong. I'm not saying I'm correct, but I can think about what I'm going to say. That's why I say it. Right? If I don't, this is why I don't have. This is why I'm independent on the this war with or the protest with Palestine and Iran. I'm sorry. You can say I'm still a bit sleepy. Israel, because I don't know anything about it. I'm listening, but I could, unless I went out there, and I'd have to go to see it. I'm not going to make a comment because I don't know enough. I don't make comments on things I don't feel I've got enough information about. I don't have enough data. A lot of people seem to, but I don't. It's not for me. That's why I'm neutral on this, clearly. If you want to claim I'm making sides, well, you're a fool. Because I don't know enough, and it's not. I'll never take sides on something I'm not confident enough I know enough about. But yeah, again, they just stood and looked stupid, and then they achieved nothing. But unfortunately, and I see this on other videos, people do this sort of nonsense. And it's, let's see, I'm not talking about just the pro-Palestine protest, any sort of video where there's a protest. We often see this sort of failure to engage. And I always say that's a foolish thing. This blocking, when you see these thickos, and by the way, anyone who tries to stop somebody filming is incredibly thick, because what it says to the audience is that this person doesn't know what they're there for. And they're embarrassed and they're looking foolish. I've been on protests. I'd never, ever block somebody filming me. Even if they disagreed with me, I'd be happy to engage. I mean, like I said, I've been on animal rights protests. Now, you could be you could support fox hunting, and I will engage with you. Sorry, I said that wrong. I will engage with you and be happy to chat to you. You can film me because I'll put forward my views. I might be wrong. You might be better, or you might be able to argue it better than me. That's fine. You might even put forward thoughts. You might challenge my thoughts. I'm happy to do that. You might, I'll go away and have a good think about what you've said. But no way would I do this sort of blocking and covering my face in fear, because the people who cover the faces, they don't support anything. They're cowards. They're weak people, because they're not showing support, by the way. Whenever you see anyone on a protest covering their face or blocking people or refusing to talk, it's clearly, one, they don't believe in what they're doing, and two, they don't know why they're there. They're just thickos. And you see, again, a lot of people do join these left-wing groups because they think it makes them look clever. Unfortunately, they look very stupid. See that girl there with the glasses? I mean, if she's a student, she'll be very clever to get in. She'll probably have straight A's. But she could have just come up and chatted. But instead, she's sort of playing a little three. She acts like a 3-year-old. I call her a kid. childish, because that's what you do when you're 3. Now, I'm a childish person. I'm not saying I'm not. I like to act like a child. I refuse to grow up. People comment. My own family have said you'll never have to take responsibility. I've gone, no, I won't, because I'm an immature. I'm very immature. I don't care. Very immature. But the difference is that what I'm arguing is that she's acting like a 3-year-old, and the basis that that's what a 3-year-old would do. They go, cry, 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 have a little breakdown. And by the way, one of the funniest things, I'm going to have to remember, this is another note to self. She said something and I thought she was an idiot. So I did that wanker sign and they all had a meltdown. We do this all the time to each other. I mean, it's just a sort of a giggle. But the fact they didn't had a meltdown, I'm going to have to do it constantly, because if I get that reaction, it was hysterical. I have never laughed so much, and I wish I wasn't so half asleep, because I was taken aback by how pathetic they were, how weak they are. And by the way, one of the things I always say is that modern women today are very weak, these left-wing. I was brought up by my grandparents, as I've said. I'm used to strong women. It's why I find, I can't cope with a lot of these modern left-wing women, because they're weak and they're all victims and all pathetic, and they're being embarrassed. If people from the 70s and 60s and stuff, women there, saw the women now, they'd be embarrassed by them. They're not thinking these are strong women. These are weak, pathetic women who won't cope. I mean, that girl with the glasses just came across as a mouse, and she'll fail in business. She'll fail, because people like that they struggle. They think being nice and saying the right things will get them. People won't. They'll just view them as weak. People detest people like that because it's uncomfortable to be around. They don't want them around. They want strong people, not weak like that. It was just awful. But yeah, I mean, it was a bizarre thing, especially Posh Boy who claimed he was working class. I thought, oh, come on. Come on, old boy. And why are these left-wing people so ashamed of being middle class or even upper class? I mean, I think he was probably more upper class than anything. And I've nothing, I think it's great to have people who are middle class and upper class. I have no problem with them. I'd never see, it's not like them who view all the working class as scum. I don't view middle class or upper class as, I think as anything bad. I think they're great people. I love to listen to posh people, and they've got different experiences. I think it's wonderful. I don't understand why they're always acting as if they've got to be ashamed of who they are. But anyway, I'm just going to leave it there. This is just a quick rant, because mainly because a few people have made points saying, "Oh, a university isn't there to be filmed." Well, I'm afraid Leeds Uni has a lot of tourists. Yes, people do film it. It's like Oxford and Cambridge. People go around filming. 2, it's a public place. That grass is in public. I think it's even a public access route. There's even a sign saying "keep off the grass." So technically, I'm not sure anyone's supposed to be on that grass, but there we go. But again, they're doing a protest. The definition of protest is you're supposed to have people know you're doing it, and people film, take pictures and film you doing the protest. Otherwise, it's pointless. You've been there, So if you don't want to be filmed in a protest, one, you don't really believe in it, 100%. Not 100. There's nothing about it. You're just a dishonest person in that regards. Until you're very thick and stupid. Because if you don't think people are going to photograph you and film you when you're doing a protest, you're incredibly stupid. And no, you don't have the right to tell people not to film and go around, because, you can't go, I have the right to protest, but I'm going to remove the rights from people I don't like to have rights for filming. I mean, that just makes you a complete bigot and a horrible person. But yeah. We'll see. I'll probably be going to a protest again today if I can get. I mean, again, I'm looking after my dog. She comes first. I'm not that bothered about the protests at the moment. I'm just going along just to film and coming home. She's my priority. Again, I'm neutral on these things. I'm not really interested in these thickos who try and tell, these horrible left-wing people who go around saying you're a fascist. They're the fascists, by the way. They're disgusting people. But again, just to clarify, most people in the protest have been really nice. We get on with them all. It's just, again, just a handful of thickos who are very stupid, like that thick old woman who is incredibly a bigot, who told the Muslim lads to not talk to us. I mean, that shows, I mean, in my view, she's a racist because she thinks that she can tell, Asian lads what to do. I mean, why don't she just put handcuffs on them and drag them away, or make them slaves if that's her view of people? She clearly has a lower, she clearly thinks she's superior to everyone, doesn't she, folks? What a disgusting woman. Oh, she should be ashamed of herself, but she's a bigot, isn't she, folks? To me, she's a racist. She's a bigot because if it was us two white lads, working class, as inferior and right wing, she's a bigot because she believes that she can order two Asian lads around and they'll respect her because she's white and middle class. That's a hell of a bigoted woman. She's just exposed herself as a complete bigot. Disgusting woman. But we'll see. That's one of the things I'm enjoying is filming these bigots like her, these nasty, disgusting people, and these plonkers who try and block you from filming and get angry. Sodom. I'm not interested. I don't care what the views are on this protest are. I'm just amused by how stupid they are and how violent they are, that I can film them and expose them to how horrendous they are. Well, I'm just stood there, and people said so one person posted that it's me winding them up. I said, I'll challenge you. When have I gone up to them and shouted? I just stand and film. So does News Now Yorkshire, from what I've seen. And all the others, they just stand and film, and people come up and harass them. Just because you don't like him, Phil. I don't even know why you. I mean, you think if you was a part of either side, you'd want them filmed. I mean, like I think his name's Brendan, who helps organise the pro-Palestine protest. His view is correctly that it gets people views. What's the point of protesting otherwise? No, you know what I mean? You're wasting your time. Sorry, I've got hiccups now. But we're getting the people views. We're making, people can listen. But it's just, some people just, again, unfortunately, you see, I guarantee it, there's quite a few people, well, maybe not quite a few, but there are a few definitely who go on these protests, who do so, and you'll never see them again often. They just go because they think it makes them look cool or something, or it's the in thing. They don't care about the protest. They don't give a rat's ass. It's a bit like you see some people who go on to the. It's like my criticism of just stop oil, is that they claim to be into the environment, but I don't think, and I am into the environment. What irritates me is that I think they're doing more harm than good. Because I don't think they care about the environment. I think it's a jolly day out for them. And I say that in other terms of protest. I think a lot of people go along. They just want a jolly day out. Look, take a few pictures for Instagram and say, look at me, I'm a wonderful person, and go home. But then, I don't know. I'm tired, actually. I'll leave it there. Bye.